Hello and welcome to Synoptic's first Napoleon Total War commentary, where the focus will be bottlenecks, where I'll attempt to give you tips on how to get it in. If all fails, there's always lube, right? Anyway, this is a 3 vs 3, the map is Amazon Confluence, I believe. I have no idea what that means, but I'm playing as the Ottomans. Bushranger here is playing as Portugal, who are quite an odd army, with only one cav as of yet, Vanilla 1.0, and Just for Fun is on the far left as Prussia. Now our opponents are Alex GR98, who's opposite Just for Fun as Britain, DT Werty, who is also as Britain opposite Bushranger, and TWR the Great Frog opposite me playing as France. Now, obviously I said before, I'm talking about bottlenecks. You can see at the top right, I'm going to expand that map in a minute or so. And there are a bunch of islands interconnected by multiple bridges, if you want to call it that. And one odd thing I found just then was one of the bridges does not work. I tried to bring a whole army past it, but it just kept going another way, which was quite annoying. So there's the map expanded. In the left area, the blue, that's me, Bushrangers in the middle, but also Just for Fun has some army there. As you can see on the right side blue, the island there is very small, so Just for Fun and Bushranger are connected. So we're going to talk about what not to do, and possibly what you can do. This is obviously an early match, so what I say might be wrong, but this is in my experience. And you saw there Great Britain in the middle, Werty, who's sending all his men into the bottleneck. This is going to allow Bushrangers to envelop it with all its line infantry as well as long range. Now up there, that was my skirmishers, 100 range, and I just went 2 versus 1 on my opponent's skirmishers. Mine also outnumber his, but his have a much faster reload. Okay, now cavalry charges. That's quite different in this game. It's not the best idea to charge directly into a unit. There no longer are the firing doctrines of rank and platoon. They just burst fire and then just keep going and going and going. But they reload so quickly, it's almost like a Ferguson rifle of old. But it's alright because every unit fires like that. So what you have now is a constant rate of fire, and it's much more fluid, the battles. And that again, there in the middle, that is Bushranger taking on the bottleneck army of Werty, Great Britain, and Alex GR is taking the defensive role, which is something I've never seen before. And you can see the stake line, artillery. He's going to take a unique approach to take on Just for Fun's approach into through the bottleneck. Okay, here Werty tried to bypass the main bottleneck in the middle, and he's going through the right side, but this is also where Just for Fun's army is, as you see with the Prussian flags. It might be a bit difficult for you to see which one's which, because the flags are much smaller than ATW. I also have the artillery superiority on my side, although I haven't started firing yet. I'm going to get as close as possible. In my limited experience, it's best to get close with howitzers. I have 2 of them. As at maximum range, it's quite difficult to hit. Okay, so I breached the left side. He moved his long range away just for a short moment, and I just went inside, and he's going to reinforce his army as fast as possible, to which I've already targeted with my artillery, my explosive shot. I also charged them with my cavalry, which is very, very devastating if you can successfully get in there. So as I said, the problem is from the front. If you go in from the side, it's much better. Obviously I still lost that unit. I was firing artillery, and that cav, it was light cav, it was already pretty depleted. Probably I was also noticing the smoke effects and ambient effects. There's a sandstorm, it appears, or some kind of storm, and coupled with smoke, and it's all moving in line with the wind, which is very, very cool to watch. So every gunshot is moving with the wind. Nice to see. So overall, I'm pretty sure this is far superior to Empire. As I said, it's far more fluid in the battle. There's no static reload annoying phase or anything like that. It doesn't take a minute or so to start your next firing shot. So once you get into it, it keeps going and going and going. So what happens is it's a much faster playing experience, more akin to Rome Total War, which is nice to have. Although the morale is still quite strong, most of these units have resistance to morale shock, even light infantry. Okay, here's a big mound from Just For Fun. He went into the side through that very small island, so that's the main force. He has another one coming in to the right of his opponent. You can probably see the map. We're taking, me and Bushrangers starting to go inside the bottom middle area, which is in between both Great Britain and France. So when I breached that area, he had to keep reinforcing and sending men over there, and eventually I'll be able to enter the mid. So this is Alex GR's method in taking on the entering army. As you see with the bottleneck, they have to be quite condensed in order to break through. And this is a foot guard who are very effective up close, and they're actually winning this battle. Possibly if he had an explosive shot, it would decimate the opponent. But he doesn't, he has standard artillery and isn't firing at them. Okay, so we're back at my breach on the left. So I'm just dancing around with my cavalry, just forcing squares. It's pretty much the same as old, once you make contact, that is. And you're also seeing some craters from the artillery impacts. Adds to the emotion. It looks very good too. So I don't think there's any need for graphical mods at this point. So cause square, I actually separated this unit here. It's a young foot infantry, and they're coming up in my zombie seated infantry. So when they got separated, he noticed, and he's just going to go for the melee. It's probably the best thing he can do at this point. Either way, that unit is lost. You can see our Bushrangers cavalry just rocking up the side of France. That's mostly because his opponent is mostly dead at this point. You can see here, he just kept siphoning men into the bottleneck. If you're going to go through a bottleneck, it's probably best you go with everything you got. It's not good to go in and then pull out and call it even, because at that point you would have lost too many men to come back. They also had artillery in there, so it was a pretty strong push, although you saw Bushrangers' army is very stretched out. So it's so stretched out that there was so much fire, it just negated any firepower that he was throwing back at Bush. So here's that nice defense we still have here. And the artillery appears to be useless at this point, seeming as there's a hill in the way. Before, back when Just For Fun was far away, that would have been effective, but not now. So we'd have to switch to canister shot at some point. Okay, so my opponent has continuously sent reinforcements to my initial breach, and I've now entered the mid. He only has one artillery piece, an experimental howitzer. It's the only one which can do quick lime, to my knowledge. And there's a normal howitzer, like 7-pounder or something, and a 5-incher. Well, that's huge, isn't it? And they could both do explosive shot, I believe. This is something I found with found difference at ETW. I just had about 16 cav running behind a retreating unit, and they ended up routing, which in my opinion just should definitely happen. If you just keep running away from a unit and not engaging them, they should just rout on the spot. Especially with heavy cav, they're very effective up close. Once they get in the thick of it, they just don't die. They're almost like elephants if you just keep dancing them around. I also have a smart Janissary. Well, melee only. The Ottomans have two. They have a very cheap melee unit. Bashi Bazook, I think they're called. Okay, my opponent tried to do the trick of set stake just before the cav charge, although I just moved to the side, and now I'm charging all of them into the side. I think we saw the blue lines indicating where I'm sending my men. So this is essentially a sandwich. So I'm holding them in infantry while I can freely send my firing squads up there. And also in the background you can see Bushrangers just going around with his cavalry. It's mostly over at this point. Check out the map. And it'll probably be much easier for you to understand this if you kept an eye on that. There's a reason why I kept it that large and stretched out the map, because so much is happening in these 3v3s, and I had to edit it into one part. A lot was happening. So I'll try and summarize the battles. In the middle, Great Britain tried to, I think, hold off Bushranger and keep him from entering the bottleneck, and then make a devastating push on the right side, although that failed mostly because Just for Fun was there waiting for him. So with that failed push, the bottleneck army was slowly dwindled down by artillery fire and far stretched out lines against compressed force inside the bottleneck. So hopefully that helped out a bit. Oh yeah, also Just for Fun swung around his infantry around the back, which is another way to take on bottlenecks, just enter through another method. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.